Steve Fairley, Club President, and I'd like to welcome you all to the 10th meeting of the 48th year of the Dublin Worthington Rotary Club. Today's invocation and pledge of allegiance will be offered by the one and only Jerry Gass.
In an attitude of prayer, we pray to our Supreme Being. Today we pray for those who are needy, those who are homeless, those who are ill, those who are depressed, those who are grieving, those who are suffering, those who are in harm's way, those who have no one to pray for them. We pray for the opportunity to be helpful to all those that we pray for. To this and the prayers on our minds and hearts, we all say, Amen. Thank you. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Jerry. Teresa,
Hello,
lovely to see you.
I think we have Peggy as a guest.
My perfect Troy, my husband.
Scott Lawrence, one more time.
One more time, Scott Moore.
Scott Lawrence is a guest. Welcome.
And the comment period for Scott was closed last Friday, and the board meeting is tomorrow, so thinking there's good things coming from Scott Lawrence. I think that's it. Cool. Okay, Jerry, our sergeant, come back up. Yeah. Jerry's wearing a lot of hats today.
Actually, today I'm standing in for Phil Giesler, who asked me to stand in. He has no mercy for you folks at all. Okay, now let's see. The pot must be back at the table. So I need somebody to carry the pot.
Make it 10 votes.
And it's going to be Tim Moats because Tim's here.
He's hungry.
Yeah. And he was headed to the food table, and so we got him away from that. Okay, so Tim is carrying the pot. Okay, I'm looking for happy dollars. Any happy dollar? Oh, Charlie.
10 in a row, baby.
10 in a row, and it's only $1 instead of 10.
I appreciate that.
That's it. Yeah. Any other happy dollars? Who do I? Oh, there's Peggy. Peggy.
I have one, our grandson Nolan was promoted yesterday to first lieutenant here.
All right. Peggy, we thank you for your service. So, any other happy dollars? Oh, there's Don Motley. Yes, Don.
I have two of them. First, I think you may remember when I gave my introductory speech, since Jim Farmer brought me in, we all spoke with Cap, that I said that Jim is the kind of lawyer I aspired to be retired. I am now following in his footsteps. My wife and I both gave our employers notice this week to retire at the end of January.
Wow.
We're also taking our first vacation required to involve plane flights since the pandemic starting Friday, so that's another half. I'll give further happy dollars after the report on the vacation. Actually, we're going to Kansas City, which doesn't sound like a great place to go, except that you get to see two presidential libraries, a baseball stadium we've never seen, a football stadium we've never seen, among other things. So
In what order?
really good.
In what order will you see those things? Never mind, Don.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. Okay, looking for more happy dollars. Anybody on Zoom with a happy dollar? Rachel, you're muted.
Yeah. So I had, thanks everyone who came to my kickoff meeting last night for city council for next year. But yeah, that was a very awesome event. I'll have to bring in some happy dollars here soon.
What are you standing for, Rachel?
For city council for Worthington. I'm not on it right now, but next year I'm sure I'll get elected with everyone's support.
For what? Just for the city council?
Yes.
Oh, all right, because my daughter's standing for Dublin City Council for Dublin schools.
Wow.
There's another dollar.
Yes, that's another happy dollar for me.
Oh, I can pay.
All right, anybody else?
Well, probably to the joy of some people, I'm leaving town to go to West United States and up in Canada.
was awful quiet.
I'm sorry. I'm headed to Northwest United States and into Canada for a road trip. So many of you probably are happy.
Well, we're happy that you'll return.
Well, I'm coming back.
Yeah, bring dollars, but no Canadian are accepted. Anybody else? Alan?
Well, Jerry, this is an admission of stupidity as well as a happy dollar. I got new hearing aids in May, and on this National Parks bus tour, we were at a chuck wagon thing in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and up the mountain 2 miles, and a covered wagon and all that, and a big country and western show. And the little girl in the middle had such a high, shrill voice, she was blowing my hearing aids out. I couldn't change the volume on them because my phone was out of battery. So, long story longer, I took them off, and I had a couch in the front of my slip over, and I put them in there. And as we left, it was raining. So I took the jacket that I had inside of there out, and guess what? The hearing aids, when I got back to the room, I didn't have it. Can you believe I reported it, and a week later, they were there with rakes breaking in the gravel, and they found them and have shipped them to me, and I'm very happy, $1,500 saved. So it's time to put it down.
Yeah, that was great, but I couldn't hear you.
Yeah.
All right, any others? Well, I'll be making a donation to add to my birthday donation to the Rotary Foundation this week, Friday to be specific. My first wife and I will celebrate 60 years of, well, I was going to say blissful marriage, but I can't speak for her. So we're going to be married 60 years as of Friday. All right, so get your money out, and Tim, you'll be on a scooter here because everybody's going to pay. Today is Hindi Day. 250 million people on this planet, that is their first language. Now, that's all I'm going to say about that. Because today is also National Cream-Filled Donut Day. So if you've ever had a cream-filled donut, put in $1. If you didn't have a cream-filled donut, maybe you're celebrating National Eat a Hoagie Day. So if you've ever had a hoagie, put in $1. This is also Gobstopper Day. Now, who can tell me what a gobstopper is?
It's an everlasting gobstopper.
You're close. You're close. Oh, yes, you're close. What's a gobstopper? It's a jawbreaker. Who said that? Exempt. Put in $1. All right, now, I know we kind of shied away from quizzes, but this is a quiz for anybody in the room. Who was the youngest United States president? You have to raise your hand. Kennedy, that's a good guess.
Theodore Roosevelt.
Who agrees? Kennedy was the youngest elected president. Teddy Roosevelt was the youngest president because McKinley was shot and died on this day at the age of 58. And so Teddy Roosevelt was the youngest, is our youngest president. Now, there's something else happened today. Anybody know what really big event happened today? Francis Scott Key wrote what turned out to be our national anthem on this date, was he wrote the Star Spangled Banner. When did the Star Spangled Banner become our national anthem? Not until over 100 years later during the term of Herbert Hoover. So we're done with those kinds of things, except you didn't care for my country and western song titles, so you're back to these dumb dad jokes. Why do melons have weddings? Because they can't elope. How many apples grow on a tree? All of them. So you guys you're just as dumb as I am. Did you hear about the guy that invented lifesavers? They say he made a mint. You've ground your pay.
Jerry. That must hurt. Yeah.
It cost you $1.
It's a new, hi. It's the one, thank you.
That's the one.
Oh, it looks a little different. Okay, thanks again, Jerry. Announcements, if you have announcements. This
I
is
have an
me
announcement.
Talking, asking you to come up for announcements.
I have an announcement. I announced that we were gonna have a silent auction at the holiday party if we had 3 significant gifts for us to bid on. I have 2, so we need 1 more, or we're just not gonna have that event.
I'm working on a third. I don't know about that. Jerry, were you gonna make an announcement about fines and fees? Not this week, next week? Okay. Okay. Alan.
Yes. Hi, everybody. Thank you, all of you who came out to Bill Schott's Memorial yesterday. It was a great day, a great outing, and a great course. And Steve did a great job in presenting our Paul Harris Fellow to Bill's mom, Pat, who happened to show up yesterday. So, older, it doesn't excuse her from coming to visit us one day, but at least we got that to her. On another note, your foundation made a great contribution this week to a young woman who lost everything in a fire in Dublin. 17 apartments burned, one of them hers. So we gave her $1,500. That's how we're helping the community. Certainly it would behoove you, if you know somebody that fits the mission of our foundation, to get a hold of one of us and let us know so that we can take a look at that and see if that fits. And if you are feeling such as we get to the end of the year, please, if you have extra charitable giving, your foundation would love to take that money to let it grow to do more good for the people of our community. Thank you.
Want to announce even though I will be on vacation next week, Community Service Committee will not be on vacation. It will be having its regular monthly meeting next Monday at 6 o'clock at Courtney Chapman's home. And Courtney and Dave Kittredge informed me that it will be available on Zoom as well. We'll be sending out information on that shortly. So if you're interested in community service, please feel free to come to Court's house or to connect on Zoom.
There's something about food drive, maybe?
Well, hopefully, Andrew will be at this meeting and he'll give us an update on the food drive. But we were still looking at the last time I looked for an additional Dublin location. And we still need volunteers to help with the food drive. You can't do more good for 3 hours doing anything I can think of. So please assist with this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a quick reminder again, Ways and Means will meet after this meeting. If you were on the committee, I think you know that. If you were not on the committee, you're certainly welcome to attend. So we'll be actually it's kind of a board ante room straight down the hallway after you leave this area. Just follow the post very well.
Thank you. What else is there? Covered it all. Speaker. Speaker. No speaker. No speaker. Yeah. I hate this. One more announcement. Oh, we'll have to wait. So we are ready for our speaker, Mr. George Norris. Without further delay.
Good morning. I have the honor of introducing Sean Asbury. He's Chief of Police Department at Columbus State Community College. And this is the whole department again. Columbus State, we all know, it's a wonderful college. It takes care of a lot of people that need to be educated, and they meet them where they are and do a wonderful job. I've heard about 4 people told me what a wonderful speech this was. That's why he's here today, and I don't want to take any more time. This is Sean Asbury. Sean.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Would you mind using the microphone?
So the Zoom people can hear.
Thank you. Sure.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sean Asbury. I'm the Chief of Police of Columbus State. It's truly a privilege and an honor to be here today. Thank you, George, for the invitation. I'm going to cover this in the next 4 hours. Is that okay? Just kidding, George. Just want to do 20 minutes. So I did this presentation a few weeks ago for a church group, and I think that's where I got the invitation from George. This is a presentation that we've been doing probably for the last 10 years or so at Columbus State. We also go out in the community and do some of the presentations when we're asked. I wish that this presentation would qualify for one of the happy hours, but unfortunately, this is typically not a happy topic to talk about. It's a very scary topic to have a conversation about. The reality of it is, the importance is highlighted every night when you turn the news on. If you turn the news on and there is a shooting or some kind of critical incident somewhere around the country. And it's very, very important that we understand and know what are we supposed to do if we get ourselves into a situation. So here's a few facts for you before we get started. Typically, when there's a critical situation that occurs, from the time we get a phone call, it takes 5 to 7 minutes for police to arrive on the scene, right? 5 to 7 minutes. Active shooters are typically done in 3 to 5 minutes. So what does that tell you? By the time the police arrive on the scene, the shooting is typically over those situations. If it is not over, the shooter has no plans of getting out of the situation alive, which means they're going to continue doing what they are there to do until somebody comes and stops them. So if you're going to get out of one of these situations alive, you are going to have to take responsibility for getting yourself out. Because by the time the police get there, it is typically too late. So, now, with that being said, prior to Columbine in 1999, we trained people to lock down, find a place to hide, hunker down, and wait for the police to arrive. The problem with that is, what is the purpose of an active shooter when they arrive at a particular location? Kill as many people as they can, right? So if we lock our students or our community members in a specific location and wait for the police to arrive, what are we doing? Yeah, we're giving them all kinds of targets. So the lockdown theory left after Columbine. Police would typically rally around and wait for everybody to get there, and then they would go in while everybody was locked down and trying to deal with the situation. The police have changed their response, and the folks that are the victims or involved in the situation have changed their response as well. Some of you may have heard about run, hide, fight. Run, hide, fight. There are a lot of organizations that use the run, hide, fight theory for folks that are involved in these types of situations. I think it's a little more in depth than that. There's a few more things that you need to think about before you get into these types of situations so that you can get yourself out successfully. Specifically 6 that I would suggest. The first thing that we need to do is figure out what's happening. The quicker we figure out what's going on, the quicker we can do what? We can respond, right? So here's what I want you to do. I want you to close your eyes. I want you to visualize what I'm going to say for the next few minutes. Many of you, I'm sure, have been in downtown Columbus, and you know that when you're trying to find some place to park in downtown Columbus, it's extremely difficult. But you're up for the task, and you head down to downtown Columbus, and you're headed to Columbus State. You pull into the parking lots, and it's a typical college day at Columbus State, and our parking lots are packed full. But for some reason, when you pull up into one of the parking lots, there is a parking space right up next to the building. You think to yourself, that's kind of odd. I've been down here, I don't know how many times, and I've never been able to find a parking space right up front next to a building. But you don't think much about it, you park your car, you get out. And as you are going to the building, you are really, really busy and you are behind on the things that you have to get done today. So while you're walking from your car to the building, you're texting and you're checking your emails. As you're checking your emails, there are people running away from the building that you're headed to. But you don't pay much attention to it because you're on your phone, checking your emails, and it's in a couple texts. As you reach the door, somebody runs out the door of the building and they say, "Oh my God," and run off. You walk into the building and you smell this odd odor. You smelled it before, but you just can't figure out where you smelled it at. As you walk in the door, you hear gunfire. Now, at what point in that story should you have been putting the pieces of the puzzle together? At what point in the story should you have put the pieces of the puzzle together? Yeah, you know, there are a lot of people now that don't pay attention to what's going on around them. They have no self-awareness. That is a huge problem when it comes to walking into situations like this. The bottom line is you need to know what's going on around you and you need to be aware of what's happening. If there are things that are going on that don't seem right, there is probably a reason for that. So the first thing that you need to do in these types of situations is you need to figure out what's going on. And if there's something that's not going on that is right, then you need to take action. And what do I mean by that? Once you figure out that things are happening in a particular location that you're at, the first thing you need to do is get out once you figure it out. Get out. Find yourself a place to hide, get away from wherever the danger is, find a safe location. Don't worry about things that you got in your hands. If you are walking back into your office and your purse is in there, your jacket's in there, you left your car keys in there, don't go back and get them. Get out. Get out and find yourself someplace that's safe. Once you get out, call out. Once you get out, call out. Don't call out before you get out. Because if you aren't safe and you end up getting hurt, you're not going to be able to call out. As you call out, call 911, and the dispatcher on the other end of the phone, when they pick up the phone, are going to be asking you a couple of questions. One, what's going on? So you need to tell them what you know. How many people have you seen? Do they have any weapons in their hands? If so, what do they look like? Were they rifles? Were they handguns? What were the people wearing? Did they have jackets on? Did they have backpacks on? Did they have glasses? Did they have hoodies? Were they wearing boots or tennis shoes or shorts? Those are all really important information. How tall were they? What did they weigh? Were they heavy set? What color of skin did they have? Because those are important identifiers that the police are going to use to locate whoever it is that's involved in the active shooting. If we don't have those particular types of indicators, we're not going to be able to figure out who it is that's causing the situation and stop the killing. So the first thing we want you to do is figure it out. Once you figure it out, we want you to get out. Once you get out, then we want you to call out to the police. Now remember, you're not going to be the only one that is calling out. There are going to be a lot of people that are calling in. But the information that you have is important because remember, typically active shooters don't stay in one location. They're moving from place to place looking for people to hurt. So the information you have is going to be really important information for the police to have and put together. So if you're in a situation, you have the ability to call out, make sure you do. Once you call out, then you want to hide out. Get yourself in a safe location, hide out. Make sure you have the ability, if possible, to keep the bad guy out of wherever it is that you are at. You know, my wife was a first grade school teacher for 20 years. And we talked about if there's an active shooter that comes in your building, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And she said, well, I'm going to huddle all the kids in the corner and try and keep them quiet. I said, no, you're going to spread the kids out throughout the classroom. You're going to get them down, you're going to try and keep them quiet. And then when they come through the door, if you can't keep them out, you're going to use the playground equipment, the baseball bat that we've got hidden behind the door. You're going to do whatever you need to do to keep your kids safe. I was giving this presentation a few years ago, and a sixth grade teacher came up to me, and he said, you know, Sean, he said, I really like this hideout situation. He said, and the next thing that you talk about is if you can't keep the bad guys out, then you're going to try and take them out. And he said, every year at the beginning of the school year, we do a food drive. My class does. And the only thing that we accept in this food drive is canned foods. And I think this is kind of interesting. And he points to this, to the back of the room, and he says, in the back of my classroom, I've got a steel cabinet. And we do the canned food drive, and the kids that bring in the food stack the food in this cabinet back in the classroom. And he said the first 2 weeks of class, we do drills. We get the kids out of their seats, and we go back and we hand out all of these cans of food to the kids. If the bad guy comes through the door, their job is to do what? Is to hit the bad guy with canned foods. Now tell me, is that going to cause him to pause? Is that going to disrupt what his initial goal was enough for him to be able to get out of the classroom? get the kids out of the classroom, or to take him out in whatever way possible. So first thing is you figure it out. Once you figure it out, we want you to get out. Once you get out, then we want you to, Charlie, call out. Once you call out, we want you to hide out. If you have to hide out, we want you to keep the bad guy out, if possible. If you can't keep the bad guy out, we want you to take the bad guy out. Now, that sounds pretty drastic, doesn't it? But drastic situations call for drastic measures. And here's the reality of it. This is something that you have to think about now before you get into the situation. Because if you haven't decided what you're going to do in one of these situations, you're going to freeze and you're going to do nothing. You're going to freeze and you're going to do nothing. So you have to commit to yourself that if, God forbid, I ever get involved in a situation with an active shooter, I am going to do whatever I have to do in order to survive. Because if you don't, you are going to become a victim. And that is the sad reality of this situation. This is something that we have to train our kids. This is something that we have to train our parents in. This is something that people have to feel comfortable with. They have to know what they need to do. While I work at Columbus State, this program was designed so that you can use this program wherever you are at. The tactics and the principles don't change. If you're at the grocery store and this happens, this is the exact same steps that you're going to take in order to get out alive or to survive. If you're at the post office and this happens, it's the exact same set of circumstances that you're going to use in order to get yourself out. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to figure it out. Once you figure it out, we want you to get out. Once you get out, we want you to call out to the police. Make sure that you've got as much information as you can when you make that phone call. If you have to hide out, we want you to keep the bad guy out. Lock the door, shove books under the door, do whatever you have to do to try and keep the door locked and shut. Because the reality is, they are there to hurt as many people as they can. Are they going to try to get a door unlocked and it's locked and you can't get in? They're not going to. They're just going to move right on down the hallway. If you can't keep the bad guy out, you need to take the bad guy out. Because remember, you are there to survive. Now, with that being said, we put together a short video that I'd like to play for you.
That distance on the circle, A to B.
He's got to go.
Perhaps you've thought about what you would do if confronted by someone with a gun on campus, or what you would do if you heard gunshots nearby, or if you were in a classroom and a gunman barged in. While we hope this never happens, we need you to be ready to act, and act quickly. If you thought about this ahead of time, you will increase your chances of survival.
If you remember one word, remember the word out. Figure out, get out, call out, hide out, keep out, take out. First, figure out the situation you're facing. Then your best option, if possible, is to get out of the room, leave the area, run in the opposite direction, climb out a window if you're on a lower level, get yourself to a place of safety, and put as much distance as you can between yourself and the shooter. Once you've made it to a safe place, call out, call 911. If you don't have a cell phone, use an office phone, a pay phone, or use a campus emergency phone. Remember, run and hide first, then call 911.
Campus police, what's your emergency?
Give the operator the location and as many details about the situation as you can. For example, the number of shooters, their descriptions, the direction in which they're headed.
I only saw one. He was running towards Cleveland Avenue.
Don't assume someone else has called 911. The more calls police receive, the better picture they will have of the situation and the suspect.
Do you have a description of the shooter?
He was wearing a black hoodie.
If you only heard gunshots but didn't see anyone, your call may still help police follow the shooter's movements.
Okay, I'll stay here.
Once you call to 911, don't call anyone else. The 911 operator might need to call you back. If you can't call out, hide out.
Was that gunshots?
Get under a desk or in a closet. If a room appears empty, there's a better chance the shooter will pass it by. When police arrive, keep in mind that they don't know who you are.
Hands, show me your hands, show me your hands!
A shooter can easily pose as a hiding victim. Until the actual suspect has been caught, police treat everyone they come across as a potential threat. Identify yourself and then follow their instructions.
Stay down, lock the door.
If you have to hide out, make sure you're able to keep out the suspect. Barricade the door, lock windows. Use a desk, table, chair, or whatever is available to prevent the shooter from entering. A doorstop or a notebook can be used to jam the door shut. Anything you can do to keep a barrier between you and the shooter to shield you and to delay the shooter's progress makes it more likely that help will arrive in time. In a worst-case scenario, if the shooter has already entered your immediate vicinity and there's no way out, you need to be prepared to take out the intruder. In other words, you may need to put up a fight.
He's got a gun!
Even if you throw a book or an object, it could be enough to distract the shooter long enough for you to others to make a move. At this point, you may literally be fighting for your life. So remember the 6 outs. Figure out. Then, if at all possible, get out of your immediate area to a place of safety. Once you're safe, call 911. If you can't get out, find a place to hide and stay there until help arrives. When help arrives, follow police instructions. If you can, lock and barricade the door. Then come up with a plan if the shooter manages to break in. And finally, if there's no other option, take the shooter out using whatever means necessary.
Hi, I'm Terrence Brooks, Director for Student Conduct. When you see things on campus that might be concerning or potentially threatening, make sure you say something. You can report that to the police department, or if you have questions, contact the Office of Student Conduct at 614-287-2104.
So what's going to happen when the police arrive? The police are going to arrive, and it's going to be a chaotic mess. There's going to be people screaming, people yelling, and nobody's going to know what's going on. As you are hunkered down, hiding, you're going to see the police come in, and they're going to probably be people that are hurt or injured laying in the floor. The police are going to go right past them. They're not going to offer any aid. They're not going to help them. Their sole purpose when they arrive on the scene is to find the bad guys and to stop them. Okay? They're not going to be looking for you, and they're not going to be looking for people that are injured when they first arrive. They're going to be looking for the bad guys. Once they get the bad guys identified and located, and they stop the killing, then they're going to come back and they're going to take care of those folks that are hurt, those victims. And then, after they take care of the victims that they can see, they're going to start clearing the buildings, and they're going to come back and get you. If you are hidden in a location, stay hidden until the police come in and physically get you out of wherever you're located at. How many of you remember a few years ago, there was an active shooting on the Ohio State campus? So it's there. From the time the active shooting started until they had the last person out of the building, it was 13 hours. So if you're in this situation, you are probably going to be there for a while before the police find you. Don't be alarmed, stay put, and be patient. Because what the police don't want to do is they don't want to start pulling people out of the building if they still have an active shooter that is there to continue. So their first goal is going to be to identify who the active shooter is and stop the killing. Then their second goal is going to be to deal with the people that are injured or hurt. And then the third goal is going to be to clear the building and get everybody out of there safely. How many of you saw the trash can that the person threw the gun into? If you take out a bad guy and you take a gun away from them, drop the gun into a trash can and put the trash can with you. Why don't you want to hold the gun in your hand as you're moving down the hallway?
Don't think I'm the shooter.
Yeah, we chuckle, but we don't know who the shooter is. And we don't want you to be confused as a shooter. So if you take a gun off of somebody because you had to take somebody out, throw the gun into a trash can, grab the trash can, and go. get yourself out. So the next question that always pops up is, how do we stop active shooting situations? We stop it by being aware of what's going on. In 1999, prior to Columbine shooting, how many of you know that Harrison Kleberg actually told a teacher exactly what they were going to do before it happened? Do you know that? Yeah, they were in a creative writing class, and they actually laid out their entire plan in a creative writing paper prior to the shooting actually occurring. The teacher read the paper and did nothing with it. When she was asked why she didn't do anything with it, her response was, it was a creative writing class. I just thought they were being creative. I've had faculty members at Columbus State ask me that same question, and I'll say, how many kids in your class write about bringing a gun on campus and killing people? Very few raise their hand. I said, if they do, that is not going to be what most people write their papers about. If they do, you need to speak up and say something. Because the reality of it is, very few people get involved in an active shooting situation where there are not signs that are going out that people can see and they can report if they realize what those are. It goes into that figure out piece. If they would have called the police could have started putting those pieces of the puzzle together. And what's interesting is the pieces of the puzzle that you have may not be the only piece that the police have. And as we start putting that puzzle together, that picture can become very clear. You know, it's interesting because you can have a puzzle of the Mona Lisa, and you can be missing a piece here, and you can be missing a piece here, and you can be missing a piece here, but you can still tell what that puzzle's about, can't you? These are no different. If you think something is off or something needs to be reported, don't hesitate to call. Allow us to look into it, because the reality of it is, if we can stop a shooting from occurring and give somebody the help that they need, isn't that a much, much better outcome? Then they say, well, what kinds of things should we report? If it feels funny, or if you're saying to yourself, I wonder if I should report this, the answer is yes. Because you've got an internal alarm system that's going off that's telling you need to do something with this information. Don't ignore it. 2008, I got a phone call from one of our EMS instructors. And he said, John, he said, I just got a phone call from a student of mine. And he said, I'll take care of it. All he said, I'll take care of it. He said, this student has been in class all semester, and he is getting ready to take his state board examinations to become an EMS, certified EMS firefighter. But the problem is he's missed too many hours of class, so he can't sit for the state exam. He said, he called me, and I told him he wasn't going to be able to sit for the exam, and he said, I'll take care of it. That's all he said. I said, well, why are you telling me that? He said, because it didn't feel right, something was off. About an hour and 10 minutes later, we stopped that student going in to the EMS building. He had just left Vance's gun store where he had purchased a 9mm handgun and a backpack full of ammunition. Now I asked, what would have happened at Columbus State that day had that instructor not called and said something? And what he reported didn't seem all that alarming, did it? But it didn't seem right to him. And that internal alarm system that he had was right on the money. Don't ignore it. You know, it's like when you are standing, you get on an elevator and the doors open. And you look in the elevator and there's somebody else standing in there. And all of your alarms are going off saying, don't get in that elevator. How many people get in the elevator? Nobody? We walk on down the hall and go up the steps, right, or wait for the next elevator. This is no different. Don't ignore that internal alarm system. It's very important. And your subconscious is often picking up things that you may not be able to process. With that, what questions?
Hey, so, all of this makes me think about the takeout scenario where I have the sense, and I know I get from right or wrong, a lot of people carry guns. Does that ever come into play where there's an active shooter that shows up and somebody with a concealed carry, does what they stated, why they have to go forward, takes out the shooter, or does that happen often or not very often?
Well, I don't know of any times in the state of Ohio where it's happened. I'm sure he asked if with CCW, carrying a concealed weapon being such a thing now, that people carrying guns, have you ever had a situation where somebody has had a gun when an active shooter is coming? I don't know of any in the state of Ohio that has happened, but in the other states, I think there are several. So there are a couple of concerns that concern me with CCW situations. My officers are at the range 8 hours every other month doing firearms training. And during high stress situations, it is really a roll of the dice as to whether or not they're going to be able to hit what they're shooting. And people that have CCWs typically do one qualification a year for that license. I ask, are they going to be able to hit what they're shooting at? Stress is high. The other thing is, they have that gun on them. If somebody wants that gun, are they going to be able to keep that gun? Or are they taking a gun into the classroom for an active shooter to use if you need it? These are all things to think about if you're carrying a CCW. The other thing is, the police don't know who you are. And when they come into an active shooter situation, if you've got a gun, the assumption that they're going to make when they enter the room is that you are the active shooter, and they are going to stop the active shooter. Do have a gun in your hand, at least one. If you do carry a gun and are a CCW, before the police get there, definitely make sure that it's older, or at least stuck in a trash can. They're not going to confuse the person with the active shooter. Did that answer your question, Steve? Yeah. Okay. I'm not in favor of arming the teachers because the teachers are there to teach the children and to educate our young people, and handling a firearm is not their focus. When I think of arming the teachers, I think of putting a handgun in my wife's hand. And most of the people that she hangs around that are teachers, it would scare me significantly, because that gun would probably become something that would be used against her or her students, because she doesn't know how to use it. She couldn't hit what she was shooting at. And I doubt very much if somebody wanted to take it away from her if she would be able to hold on to it.
Came from East Central Ohio. He's not going to be there, but the county sheriff finished very much. One or two cruisers in the county. I grew up, people in school with rifles. So there are teachers that I think are qualified. I don't think any teacher should be asked to make. But my concerns, how many times do you go on a teacher that's carrying? How do you know? Is there anything in place? Because this is a reality now. The teachers are doing. How does the police officer know? Is there going to be any coordination between local law enforcement and schools and introduction, or so that rolling into that school, we have 3 teachers armed and ready? How do we know who those teachers are? Because just like you say, you see somebody with a gun, you don't know. So have you heard of anything that's in place to?
Right now, there's only one school district in the state of Ohio that allows that. And it takes a board action to look at that. The board decides that that's something that needs to happen. Encourage the police officers to connect with the teachers so they know who they are in case of this type of situation.
You would hope that the local law, because I guarantee if I can Eastern Ohio, if it has, it's going to happen.
Yeah. It goes back to that relationship. The police need to have a close with their community. I hope that answers your
But
question.
it does, my concern was the police officer rolling in here, he's got a bad guy with a gun. Got 3 or 4 teachers with guns, you know.
Yeah, but there's nothing that's been laid out statewide for that to happen. I would hope that each agency would take that on themselves to make sure that if they know that they've got teachers that are potentially harming in schools, that they would connect with those administrators, those teachers.
How do you feel about officers in the schools? Practice.
So
Resource officers.
I am a huge proponent of having police in the schools. My experience has been, you have the right police officers in the school, it's a tremendous resource. And it's all about collaboration, partnerships, not only with the teachers and the administrators, but with the kids. They need to know the kids, they need to understand the kids. The kids, if they feel comfortable with the officers, are going to come and have conversations with those officers. And in many situations, they're going to talk to the officers and allow the officers to bring support to them if they need it, as opposed to them getting themselves into a situation. If you think about colleges and universities, that's really what they do. They've got police departments on campus and they engage with the students on a regular basis. Law enforcement is one of the things that we do at the college. It's not the only thing that we do at college. And quite honestly, criminal enforcement in many cases isn't the right solution for what's happening on the college. We've got a lot of programs in the college that are going to have a much deeper impact on the students, and it's going to be much longer lasting than in the court systems. We've had students that we've been involved with, we've referred to our student code of conduct process, where they've been out, picking up cigarette butts around campus, or they've been writing papers as to how their actions impact others, and why it's important to think those things through before they engage in that kind of behavior. So I think it's an important thing. I think if it's done right, it can be very impactful. Did that help? Yeah.
I never heard of the RAVE, one quite read before. Could you explain that?
So RAVE is Columbus State's emergency notification system. If you are in Franklin County also has an emergency notification system. I'm sure some of you need to sign up for it. When there's information, emergency information that needs to be sent out to county residents, it gets sent out. That is their RAVE system. So that's our college emergency notification system. If you have a student at Columbus State, if you get on the Columbus State Police Department's website, it will actually tell you exactly how to register into our system so that you can get those notifications if you're a parent or if you have somebody that is going to our college. Ohio State also has the same type of system. So with that, I think our time is up. Thank you very much. Hopefully,
You have a few minutes to stay after? Sure. Okay. Seems like there's some other questions, but we do got to wrap up. We've got a raffle. Judy, what do we got?
Okay, we've got $13 in the weekly and $87 for the Ace of Spades. So let's see.
13 weekly.
Okay, why don't you spend it out there? We can't figure out that. We've got 1868.
1868.
That isn't mine.
How much was the Ace of Spades?
Ace of Spades, 87.
87.
And we've got 1882.
1882.
Teresa.
Teresa?
Teresa. Okay, will you draw?
Come on up, Teresa. Dapper.
Caller.
No.
6 of hearts. Okay. Hey, Sarah. All right, folks. Next week, our speaker will be David Friel from the OSU Fisher College of Business, right? Ed? Yes. He's going to be talking to us about business ethics. And so this is thanks to the Vocational Services Committee, Roe and Dave Kittredge. He's going to be talking to us about business ethics in the avenue of service of vocational service. So should be a good presentation. And with that, I think we're ready for our four-way test. If you will repeat with me of the things we think, say, and do. First, is it true? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And fourth,
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your week. You're adjourned. And yes, if you're going to stay for Ways and Means, we're meeting in the back.
Thank you for the use of that.
Yeah.
Great.
Good.
You know, the three of us were sitting in on the symposium.
Glad it worked out. You can leave that there. It just kind of gets all wrapped up.
The